So this is Emily. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I guess I should say good morning to any Australians listening, or good evening to any Easterners tuning in. You're listening to Blue Star Radio, and I'm your host, Emily Cleland. And my show is dedicated to understanding and bringing greater awareness, love, and support to our younger generations of starseeds or highly sensitive or aware children. During our airtime, we'll share stories, insights, and wisdom of overcoming challenges, following our dreams, creating change, speaking our truth, finding our inner guidance, discovering ourself, exploring consciousness, and choosing love. Today, I'd like to start off by offering one of my very favorite quotes, which has become quite popular amongst many social media activists. It's a quote that holds a lot of wisdom and clearly communicates a key universal principle, the law of attention. And some of you may already be familiar with this law. This law states that what you focus your attention on grows and expands, and what you remove your attention from withers and dies. And so the quote is, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete, and that's by Buckminster Fuller. And I've noticed this one circling around, and my next guest uses that one to promote the work that he's been doing. And I just want to mention that this is exactly what today's powerful change agents are doing. We're becoming aware of the challenges we face as a species, tapping into our creative resources, and working collaboratively in order to find appropriate solutions. So here to share his version of a new model for something in desperate need of an upgrade, education, is Australian writer, activist, and teacher Will Stanton. And Will has worked in a handful of primary schools, including a government school in Kathmandu, Nepal. Towards the end of his teacher training, he became disillusioned with the conventional education system and is now devoting his life to changing it. Will has just launched his book, Education Revolution, which proposes an entirely new global education model he calls the six-dimensional model. He's hoping to shift the educational paradigm completely, and I am 100% in support of that. So welcome, Will. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Hi, Emily. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really happy that you can join me. I'm very interested in the work that you've been doing, so it's really a pleasure
to talk with you about this.
Yeah. It's an honor for me to be able to share this with people. So, yeah, just very grateful. I know it's a bit early there for you in Australia.
No, it's all right. I just want to apologise to anyone listening that there might be some strange noises outside my bedroom window because there's a garbage compactor actually crushing all the rubbish outside on my nature strip at the moment. So if there's any loud noises, I apologise.
All right. Well, you sound good for right now. So.
Good.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it's all good. So Will, how, just for our listeners, if you wouldn't mind sharing how this journey began for you.
Yeah, sure. Well, for me, this whole thing started probably about 10 or 11 months ago, and I was having a drink with a friend of mine, and he asked me if I'd heard of a thing called Ayahuasca, and I'm not sure if anyone listening has heard of what this substance is, but it's a South American plant medicine, and the shamans over there, they call it the plant teacher, and so basically, my friend told me that it takes people on a sort of subconscious journey over eight or so hours and has them confront all these kind of personal demons and I suppose burdens that they're sort of going through emotionally and psychologically and so has them confront these really deeply personal experiences that are sort of acting as some kind of chip on their shoulder, and they come out the other end. I mean, this is what my friend was saying. They come out the other end sort of free of those personal burdens and free of all those things that are weighing you down. And once people come out of this 8-hour visual psychedelic experience, then they kind of are able to connect to nature in a new way. And all this information I was getting from my friend, I was very skeptical. Because I came from a very scientific background prior to recently, and I was kind of like, oh, that sounds, like something I would want to do a bit more research on before I jump to any conclusions. So I went home and I looked it up, and I looked up DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine, which is basically the active ingredient in ayahuasca that is causing these revelations that people are having when they take this substance. So when I was actually looking at all the accounts of people who'd taken this substance and taken DMT, it was blowing my mind. It was stuff I'd never seen before. I never even considered, was a perspective on life. And it opened up a whole spiritual side that I had never even considered before. And so I was looking up, people who'd they'd basically been able to cure all these psychological problems that they'd had, and just be able to remove all this hurt and negativity that had been kind of weighing down on them, all through taking this substance, ayahuasca, or smoking the pure form of dimethyltryptamine. And so, all this information was absolutely blowing my mind, and it started me on a journey of questioning. I hadn't really been too conscious in my life of the things that I was doing and the path that I was on. I was studying to be a primary school teacher, and something wasn't clicking when I was studying that. So when it wasn't really working for me as a primary school teacher, I kind of thought, well, what's the puzzle piece that isn't quite fitting together? Something was missing, and I realized I knew I needed to be in something to do with education. I knew I was passionate about education, and I knew there was something jarring about the university degree I was doing. It just wasn't working for me, and it hit me. It really hit me. I realized that it was the system that I was submitting myself to that I just wasn't agreeing with. It was not working for me. So I realized.
Yeah, I'm curious what in particular, if you can name anything that was really kind of rubbing you the wrong way. If there's anything that stands out for you.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for me, when I started this kind of line of questioning and started realizing that things were, I don't know, a little different to what I thought. So everything I thought I knew, I started questioning, and then I started on this whole kind of down this rabbit hole of research. Led me to understanding a lot more about the world than I'd previously even cared to look at. And opened my eyes quite a lot. So I'd say I had a kind of an awakening, an awakening of knowledge, and an awakening of perspective, an awakening of consciousness, I suppose you could say. But the biggest thing I realized at that point was that children weren't being taught how to think for themselves, how to be independent, critical thinkers. So, that was the biggest thing for me, was children who were kind of just told to absorb information and to accept it as fact or as, a doctrine because an authority figure wills it that way. I mean, this is not, I'm not having a go at any teachers, because I believe that most teachers are doing their job for the right reasons. So there's a few bad apples in the bunch, but I think for the most part, teachers' hearts are in the right place, and most teachers I know mean well and are kind-hearted, compassionate, genuine, humanitarian people, but they're stuck in a system that doesn't work in their favor. They're stuck in a system that doesn't give them the flexibility and the freedom they need to be the best possible teachers they can be, and to help the kids be to reach their highest potential, and to empower the children rather than disempower them, which I believe strongly is happening right now in the current system. And the reason why I think that children are being disempowered is because they're to accept that authority is truth rather than truth is authority.
Oh my God, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I love that.
So the whole paradigm needs to shift from this kind of you've got to listen to this adult figure who's standing at the front of the room because they know all the information. So we've got to shift from that paradigm to let's have an open dialogue about this. Let's let's not just accept the information we're given. Let's investigate it. Let's discern it. Let's take an evidence-based approach to it, and let's make sure that we're not just examining one side of the coin in all our studies. Let's look at everything. Let's not discount anything that might potentially have some merit. So this is really important stuff. We need to kind of expand our perspective as learners and learn not to discount anything really that we can research and that we can look into, because this is the way that we evolve as human beings, is we consider all information regardless of where it comes from, and we discern it and we process it critically.
That's a good way to move forward.
Yeah, so that was one of the main things that I saw that needed changing, was the fact that we kind of bringing up these children to be cogs in a machine. I mean, this is a metaphor that everyone knows quite well and is quite worn out, but I like to use it anyway because it kind of describes the way that we're contributing to a system that I think is only interested in self-preservation. It's not interested in real growth, in real evolution. I think that we're stagnating because of this. I think that we're basically at a point where everything we do is just to make that machine run. But that machine is not interested in becoming a better machine or becoming even something greater than just a machine. It's just a machine that wants to survive. And so it's not helping us, it's not benefiting us holistically as a species. Does that make sense, Emily?
Oh, definitely. And I totally agree with you 100%. So would you what would you say is the intention behind the old system? Like, would you say that it is self-preservation? Like, why do you think it was created the way it was?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's something I'm still trying to figure out myself, but I don't like to jump to any conclusions. There's certain schools of thought that will say that it's all intentionally placed to keep us disempowered and to keep us, I suppose, enslaved to an economic system. And there's certain schools of thought that will say it's conspiratorial in that way. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. It could very well be just an accident or a part of our natural evolution where we need to solve this problem. So
I agree with you.
I don't like to say that that there's people at the very top who are intentionally keeping this education system as it is, although that could very well be the case, but I can't know for sure, so I don't like to jump to those conclusions. But I think but I do think that it is something that is archaic. It is the model we have now is outdated and is not keeping up with where we are as a technologically advanced species. It's a dinosaur compared to what we're capable of. So it's really sad to see that it just hasn't evolved with the times like all the other systems that we generally have, you know?
Yeah, it definitely feels old and outdated, and it feels like it's just on the brink of crumbling to me. I mean, that's kind of when I tune into the energy behind it. It does feel like a good strong push will dismantle it, and that's why I love that quote by Bucky Fuller so much. Is because like that old skeleton, that structure is breaking. It's shaking. It's crumbling because this new one is naturally, I believe, emerging, and it's like, okay, what is it going to take for that final kind of collapse of that system, and then this beautiful emergence of, what we're seeing with the things the ideas that you're bringing forth, and lots of other people who have been, looking into this as well.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone, or at least most people I've spoken to, are similarly disillusioned with the system. I think there's a hunger at the moment. Yeah, there's a hunger at the moment. It's a burning hunger that people really want to see a huge change in education, a massive change. And so I know I'm not alone in that. I think this is a global thing, and people are really pushing for it right now. So this is the time to be trying to get people's attention and to try and say, look, enough's enough. We need to do something about this system. It's broken. It's ready to reach the next point of its own evolution. It's ready to shift its paradigm. And what we're seeing in the world at the moment is a shift in many other areas. We're seeing a shift in all the institutions. We're seeing a mindset shift. We're seeing a consciousness shift. It's a very important time in our existence, and it's a great time to be alive. And what's happening at the moment is that when all these other systems are shifting, people are calling for education to shift at the same time, and it feels like it's just a natural thing that's going on. It's a raising of the conscious vibrational frequency, if you want to take a spiritual look at the whole phenomena that's going on right now. I mean, I've spoken to so many people who've said they're a little bit freaked out by all the things in the world that are going on at the moment. They said they've never seen the world so on edge in their lifetime. And this is my dad who's even saying that he's never seen global political events this bad before, and he's lived through all kinds of things in the past and the hippie era and all that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty telling sign if people are starting to say that something's happening here, and even we can see it. So I think that we're seeing a huge shift just in terms of everything that we've ever known is shifting, and so it's really exciting to see these changes that are happening. A lot of people I know are working on changing all of these institutions. There's a huge community of people who are doing amazing things to shift things in the right direction, and to to start tearing down the walls of our broken systems and to start rebuilding and creating the new, which is really hugely important.
Definitely. I love that. It's like, this new energy is emerging, and we're all participating in the creation of what it is that it's going to look like. We're all taking part in creating the new framework, and I think that's really, really important because, as we all work together, we can help to bring in or develop, let's say, set up the framework of what it is that we really want to see on the planet and experience in this world. So yeah, it's really important to set the model of what it is that we really want to experience and really want to see. So, and I really do think it is important to come at this from a collective perspective as well.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, I can't do this alone. I can't take on the education system alone. I'm looking for as many allies and friends and collaborators as I possibly can. I want to collaborate with anyone who thinks that they are passionate in this area and who feels that they can contribute something, that will really help push this in the right direction. So, I'm calling out to anyone who is really feeling like things need to change and wants to help out.
Yeah. And is there anything real specific that you can put your finger on that maybe could help you out, moving forward with your vision? Or is there anything, that kind of comes to mind that people can do to support you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At the moment, my immediate plan, once I can kind of start getting the book out there, is basically to create an online hub. So I'm going to create like an online sort of community where I can kind of showcase the model that I've created for this new education system, show people that it's there, show people what it is, how it works, and then let people be part of this community in a way that's kind of like an open source project. So I want to get people involved in refining this model and in fine-tuning it so that we can make it the best it can possibly be for humanity. I want it to be a model not just by me or created by me, and I don't want it to be a rigid model. I want it to be an organic process by the people, for the people, that kind of thing, of the people. Because, I really do think that the power of the collective mind needs to be responsible for the creating of such a system. And this is something, education is something everybody in the world has an opinion on, I think, regardless of what background they're from, because they all went through the system, they all experienced it, so they all have credibility in that way that they understand how, on a surface level, education works. And so there's a lot of people who can contribute to ideas and perspectives that I need to be starting to take on, and I need to be starting to, kind of put in this melting pot and start to create the synthesis of these ideas and bring everything together and bring all the best into it and kind of create a super system from the people. If that kind of makes sense, does that, do you kind of understand where I'm going with this online hub? So basically what I'm asking is that when I announce that hub will be in place, I mean, it's dependent on money for me at the moment, because I have to make sure that the book goes, it reaches its audience. Otherwise, I won't be able to do the projects I want to do. So for right now, the next step for me is basically getting the book out there and doing all I can to do that. But then when I have the money to do this project online hub, I'll be wanting as many people as possible to contribute to that. So I'll be getting everyone on board. So that's where you can help me the most in the coming, I suppose, months/years. I'd hope that this hub will be out within a year, but we'll see what happens. It all depends on the book, really. Yeah.
Okay, great. And we can talk about that later on, because I want to really give that information for people if they want to help support you to be able to purchase your book and to spread this information around. There's just one thing I wanted to mention to our listeners, is that online right now, the show will be live for 30 minutes, which will take us to 6:30, And after that 6:30, you might get cut off, but the show will continue to be recorded. So it will be in the archives if you do want to listen to the rest of the show, because we are just getting to the juicy stuff right now. So, if you're listening, just know that if it gets cut off in 5 minutes or so, that you can go back and listen to it. So right now, Will, I'd love for you, if you'd like, to share a little bit more about your book and about the 6 dimensions that you put together, and how that process went for you. Like, how did you come up with this 6-dimensional model?
Yeah, well, how I came up with the model, first of all, was when I started questioning the education system. I thought, I don't want to just find problems. I don't want to just look at everything that's wrong with the system and complain and be the next, I suppose, Ken Robinson. I'm not saying that Ken Robinson's done anything, wrong or bad. He's done amazing things, and what he's done is kind of got things to a point of awareness where people are ready for solutions, and that's kind of what I want to bring to the table, is solutions, because I think people are ready to hear them. So for me, I just thought, and using Buckminster Fuller's amazing philosophy that, we need to stop trying to fix the old and just create the new. And I just thought, all right, so what does, in an ideal world, what would an education system be founded on? What would children need to grow and to develop into the best possible human beings they can be? Not the best possible economic, productive workers they can be, but human beings, living, breathing, amazing, spiritually in tune, if you will. I mean, all these things, we need to shift from this sort of mechanical mindset to an organic one, to a human one, to a one where we care about morals, and we care about values, and we care about other people and other life, and we value life, and this is something that it's just I realized had to change. And so I thought, all right, so what are the elements that need to go into this? And I created what I call the 6-dimension model. And so it's kind of like 6 different areas that I think encompass all of the skills, all of the, I suppose, important concepts that children need to be learning or considering as part of their education process. So the 6 dimensions, we've got self-discovery, inquiry, sustainability, innovation, communication, empathy. And I think that everything we need fits under those 6 banners. There are overlaps. So let's say, for instance, meditation, which I want to bring to schools. So meditation kind of can fit into self-discovery, or it can fit into empathy, because when you meditate, you can, connects you with more of, it just connects you in a way consciously with others, with life, with humans and animals, and it brings you closer to, a collective, and that's empathy. So, you can fit all these different things I want to bring to education under these sort of 6 dimensions. So if I'm to sort of talk about, I'll just go through real quickly how, I suppose, a rundown of the 6 dimensions. So self-discovery is about getting children to unearth their passions, to bring out the best, the most natural elements of these children, and to really nurture them, and to unleash them, and to really wake these children up to what's inside of them, as Ken Robinson says, and that's a brilliant analogy. So it's going to be about is allowing teachers to really, I suppose, water the children, give them the sunlight they need to let them grow naturally, rather than filling their minds with information and treating their minds as containers. And it's about helping them discover their passions, their interests, their talents, their skills, their what comes most natural to them. And I do think that everyone has something unique that they bring to the table, even as a child, that needs to be unearthed, that needs to be that they gravitate towards more than any other thing. I think that there is. I think that we all have something inside us waiting to sort of come out, and that's where our passion lies. And what's happening right now in the education system is that we're not kind of allowing children, we're not providing them an environment that lets them discover their passion. It's kind of, I mean, I speak to so many people who are in university and they're like, I still don't know what to do with my life. It's like, wow,
or graduated and spent $30,000 on an education and still don't know.
Yeah, but this is a problem with the whole species. I mean, I'd say more people than not are doing something they wouldn't want to do with their lives. They're doing something that doesn't serve their soul, or doing something that they're not happy doing. So, I mean, if this problem is solved at an early age and children are taught, it's the system that doesn't give teachers the freedom to do this. So teachers want to do this, but they're stuck in this regimented, linear kind of, you must follow our directions, you must follow our curriculum, you must follow our structure. And because of this inflexibility, you've got teachers who just are really imprisoned by the education system. I speak to a lot of teachers who want to get out of the system, and there seems to be in the UK thousands of teachers who are just leaving the education system because it's just inhibiting them in so many ways. And so ideally, what I'm trying to bring to the table with this model is not to regiment it, it needs structure. Let's not throw that out the window. But it just needs flexibility. It needs what Finland has. It needs, and Finland allows flexibility. It's moving away from strict subjects and into integrated topics and all these kind of things that are really allowing much more flexibility, much more openness with the whole teaching pedagogy. So.
Yeah, and I would say that's a reflection of our society moving from a strictly left brain society into honoring the right brain, the feminine aspects of who we are. So you have that freedom and flexibility, as well as, some guided structures, working in harmony together. And it feels like this new system that's preparing to emerge is definitely in support and a reflection of our, exactly what you said, our current societal paradigm shift, where we're moving into more whole brain individuals. So this
absolutely,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, the right brain is really being neglected. It's really being ignored and pushed to the bottom of the pile. The artisans and the artists and the dancers and sports people and all these people who they don't grow via academic intelligence the most naturally. So they're not academic learners as much as they are bodily kinesthetic learners or creative learners or visual learners or, auditory learners or whatever. But we have an education system at the moment that just places this emphasis on academic and economic elitism, as I like to say, and it's basically
Brilliant.
Pushing all the other stuff to the bottom of the pile, and it's wrong. And it's what's happening is we've got all these artists who are desk clerks and receptionists and
totally.
and petrol pump attendants and It's horrible, and obviously that is limited by our current economic system, and what I want to see is a shift in our economic system as well as our education system. But I think that's a whole another topic that needs to be sort of delved into in another time. But
I believe it really, honestly, it starts with knowledge, because knowledge is power.
Absolutely, it is huge power, and it's about. This is going to segue really nicely into the next dimension, the inquiry, which is about, rather than filling children with information from the teacher's mind, it's about the teachers acting more as facilitators rather than teachers, I suppose. So facilitating the children to think for themselves, to learn themselves, to actually be their own teachers. So it's about getting the children to be challenged, to probe them, to really stimulate lines of thought and reasoning that we don't usually allow in the current education system. So we need this open dialogue. We need this philosophical approach to learning. We need to sort of stop saying that everything is right or wrong, and stop having these exams and these tests and all these things that have a multiple choice answer and that's the right answer. And I'm not saying that we need to completely abolish right and wrong answers. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I just think we need to shift more towards open dialogue, to infinite possibility, to divergent ways of thinking. All these kinds of things, we need to stop sort of keeping children firmly within the box and start allowing them to explore areas that go way beyond the box.
Oh God. Yeah.
So with inquiry, basically what I want to bring is I don't want to teach one version of history. I want to. Because I think that history, by its very nature, is speculation. I don't think we can ever know that the truth is a very subjective thing when we're talking about history.
Oh, I totally agree.
And what's happening at the moment is we're teaching children one version of history. I mean, when I was at school, and I as far as I'm aware, in my experience, it hasn't changed. A few really good history teachers, a few really good ones, will examine other sides to history, and that's brilliant. But a lot of them won't. And what we need to do is we need to start showing children where to look and not showing them what to see, and actually allowing them, a chance to collate all the evidence from all these different perspectives and formulate their own conclusions, rather than being told this is what happened in history at this and so time, and this is what caused that, and it's just children writing this down and writing essays about it, and it's like there's no sense of it being open to criticism and open to scrutiny, which we need to do, because we're indoctrinating our kids by teaching this way. So that's one major thing that I want to bring to this inquiry dimension. There's other things that, including I want to bring philosophy in, because we need to start sort of getting children to step outside, step back, and look at the holistic picture, look at the big picture of where we're going as a species, what we are, who we are as human beings, and where we stand in a cosmic sense as well. We're kind of stuck in this. We've got the blinders on. We're in this tunnel. We've got tunnel vision, and we're kind of we're looking at everything from this one single, really narrow perspective. And so once we teach philosophy, we bring it back, and we get children to start contemplating and ruminating and exploring new ideas, exploring new horizons and perceptions, and actually getting them to disconnect from their belief systems, which in many ways can be poisonous and in many ways can restrict growth. So belief systems, I want to sort of get get children, no matter what you believe, it doesn't matter if it's a positive or a negative belief, whatever it is, the existence of a belief system doesn't allow the opposite to be acknowledged. So the inverse gets disregarded once you believe something. So basically, if you're a deeply fanatical religious person, you're going to, disregard people who say that there is no, benefit to religion, or and that's not to say that there is no benefit to religion, but it's more like there's this separation and this division going on with people who are attached in a way to their beliefs that doesn't allow kind of like just an openness, an acceptance. We need to just allow things to be. Anyway, let's move on to sustainability, which is
and I
a
just want
big
to
one.
stop you just for a sec, just because there's a clicking noise in the background when you're speaking. I'm not sure if it's your mic hitting something. I don't know if you can hear it.
I apologize. I'll try and
I don't know if
minimize any noises. Can you hear it now?
a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can kind of. I don't know what that is. Okay. All right. Sorry. Continue with sustainability.
No, that's all right.
This is really interesting stuff.
Yeah. So sustainability it is a hugely important thing, and we're not giving it the respect and the attention it deserves in the current education system. I mean, you take Australia, for instance. Our Prime Minister's so backwards that he's basically pushed sustainability to the bottom of the education system, thrown it to the sideline, and made it a cross-curricular priority, which is basically code speak for, bring it up when, whenever you have time, basically, which is never, because teachers never have time to do anything that's outside of the mainstream curriculum. I know that from my own experiences. So you go everywhere around the world, and nowhere in the public education system is doing sustainability justice. There's a few pockets here and there. There's a few pockets here and there of independent alternative schools who are really blowing my mind with what they're doing in this area, and that's something I really want to do a lot of research on, because I don't know a lot about what they're doing at the moment. So that will be interesting for me to find out. But what I know is that what we need to start doing is immersing our kids with nature. We need to start bringing our children back to the natural world, and we need to start getting them out of the classroom as much as possible and getting them in there, in amongst all these kind of natural environments that connect them with plants and animals and the earth. And we've kind of lost this connection. We're in these built up areas, and there's no empathy with nature. Well, there is to an extent, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be, and we've lost our indigenous connection with the earth, and so we need to bring that back. Which is the most
important thing.
It is hugely important, because you're absolutely right. It is massively important. We need to start getting our kids to feel again, to feel nature, to feel what it really means to connect to the earth. And that might be alien. That might be an alien kind of, perception for a lot of people, because we're so conditioned to not care so much about nature, and it's wrong. It's horrible, and it's basically what is leading to an environmental crisis that will one day be irreversible. And so if we don't fix this now, we're in a pretty bad situation. And so sustainability has to be an absolute priority in a new.
I couldn't agree with you more on that one, because we can learn so much from nature, and basically like creation principles from nature. And when we get to that energy, we're really connecting to our creative energy, and it's just, it's limitless, right? The possibilities with that. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just
bringing that back into school.
Continuing with sustainability in terms of education. What we need to start doing is basically teaching our kids real life skills. So teaching them to be self-sustainable, not dependent on any system to do everything for them. So I want to get children to really engage in gardening, growing their own food, even permaculture, all that kind of stuff. Children need to learn the importance of food and how we think that money is this resource we need to covet to survive. But I mean, obviously in the current system we do need money to survive, but you can't eat money. You can't do anything with money other than purchase the things that you need. So really the things that we need are, food, water, energy, shelter, love, happiness. These are the things that we need as human beings, like that we need to survive. And so we can have these things, and we can learn to have these things without being dependent on a system to give them to us, and without being babysat and mollycoddled by others. So it's about really teaching children to be responsible for themselves and to learn to direct themselves, in a way that they're not being directed at the moment. They're not learning how to be, autonomous, and they're not learning how to be really in charge of their own growth and their own development. And they need to learn how to develop the skills that are important for life. So they need to, do as much as they can hands-on. They need to really get life experience. They need to learn real, practical, pragmatic skills that are going to benefit them in their lives. And we need to move away from all this theory. Theory is good, but we need to stop putting so much emphasis on all this academic theory. And we need to start putting more emphasis on real life skills and real, much more practical things. So I want to get children to be self-sustainable. I want them to be able to create their own energy supply. I want them to be able to build their own houses that can withstand, the elements and be built by sustainable means that are friendly to the environment. I want them to be able to, collect their own rainwater. I want them to be able to provide all the comforts that they need, basic comforts, to help them thrive, and all these things that we can teach children how to do these things. And once we do that, we empower them. We empower them because we don't put them on this drip that they're on currently to the system. They don't know how to look after themselves. If we take the system away, they have no idea. And I'm the same. If you take the system away, I'm screwed, because I was a Generation Y. I was a Generation Y, and I never learned these skills, and I really regret not having learned those skills. I mean, there's obviously nothing I could do because my parents didn't teach them to me. My education system didn't teach them to me. It's basically up to me to learn those skills now as an adult. It's imagine how much more advanced our children will be once they know how to fend for themselves in a situation where they need to survive without, all these babysitting mechanisms that are in place. I mean, if we have a global economic collapse, or if we have a war, or if we a nuclear war, or if we have any kind of natural event a natural disaster or anything that just puts the system out of place, it knocks the system out for a certain period of time, people aren't going to know what to do. And this is going to be an ongoing problem no matter what kind of system we're living in the future. And so what we need to be moving towards is getting children to actually self-govern. It's about self-governance. So if we can do that, then we actually create people who are actually, it's hard for me to explain. We create people who are the best kinds of people possible. When I say this, I kind of don't mean, I don't want to mold people. I just want to give them all of the elements and put them in the environment and give them the skills they need to help them grow in the best possible natural way. I don't believe in molding people because we need to move away from molding people and start, I'm not trying to, indoctrinate children in another way that makes them good or makes them, environmental advocates or whatever. It's not about that. It's just about letting them grow naturally and giving them the things they need to grow naturally. So I just want to put that out there and make sure that people aren't like, oh, well, he's indoctrinating people in another way. It's not about that. It's basically about getting the children to teach themselves and to learn the most natural way possible. So basically, coming back to wrap up with sustainability, we need to bring kids back to nature, connect them with the earth, and teach them how to be self-sustainable, self-governing. So they're the big elements I want to bring to a new education paradigm with sustainability. So innovation, the next dimension. Innovation is all about how we progress as a species and how we create as a species. So what I want to do is kind of expand the way that we look at science and not just be stuck in this material, I call it material reductionist perspective. And there's nothing wrong with materialism, and we need to learn all of the principles that make up materialism because they are the building blocks to where we go from there in terms of our understanding. I think that we need to kind of use materialism as a springboard to what else there is. And my own experiences and my own understanding have shown me that there is something much more than just the physical reality that we've known for so many generations, and that there is all this quantum research now that is showing there is so much more to reality than we've previously cared to even acknowledge. And so we need to delve into these quantum areas, and there's a science to it, and that's why these kinds of areas have actually been looked into from a clinical mindset, from an actual left brain mindset. So there is tangibility to this, and so there is merit to this, and we need to stop disregarding all this quantum phenomena in science and in science education. So we need to start looking at a study of consciousness, and we need to look at plant consciousness and animal consciousness and human consciousness and cosmic consciousness. And I mean, I know that a lot of these things can't be quantified at this point, but that doesn't mean you can't explore them. It doesn't mean you can't investigate certain elements to them and certain properties. I mean, you take plant consciousness, for example. You can hook an electrode up to a plant, and you can actually measure its physiological responses to certain stimuli. I mean, that's plant consciousness right there, and you can do this with kids. So these are the kinds of experiments that we can actually do in the classroom, and that get children to move beyond this this kind of box mindset that we've kept them in with science. So basically what we need to be doing is allowing them to innovate beyond the physical realm, beyond what we know as physical reality. We need to be able. I mean, I think that our evolution is going to involve the non-physical. You take Nikola Tesla, a brilliant inventor and visionary, and he said that we're only going to start really progressing as a species once we start researching the non-physical, once we start looking at what is not just locked in our physical reality or what we know as our physical reality. So
I agree. Yeah.
It's about expanding science education to not disregard these things. And to look at them, and to take a scientific approach to them, and to take a methodical approach if that is called for, because there are ways to quantify these things, and there are ways that we can understand these things without it just being mumbo jumbo, as a lot of materialist scientists would like to say it is. But
I love what you said about exploring it. Being open to exploring it, even if it can't be proven, but just acknowledging that there are things we don't know, that there's mystery out there, and encouraging the exploration of these things.
Absolutely. I mean, there are these new energy devices right now that are being built all around the world, and this is very underground, and a lot of people don't know about these things, but they're being built in ways that seem to defy conventional physics in certain ways. That's not to say that they are defying physics. It's more just that our knowledge of physics has to expand to the way that we treat physics has to expand to understanding quantum properties. And once we kind of take in the whole picture, then we understand how the laws of physics are relating to these things. But these machines, they're being built, and they're actually harnessing energy in ways that we've never been able to harness energy before. And it blows minds. It really does. And these machines exist, and they're real, and they've been tested. And when these machines start coming out into the commercial light, then it will rock worlds. It really will, because it just changes, it just shifts the paradigm so much that people are not going to know what's hit them. They're really not, because right now we're still on solar and we're on wind, and that's about the extent of what people seem to know in the mainstream. But there is, believe me, there is so much more. And yeah, I mean, I could spend hours talking about that sort of stuff, but I won't.
Well, there's a gentleman who I've been connected with by another mutual friend, and who used to work for the U.S. military, and who has built a free energy machine, and it's actually working in his home. And his whole thing is that he wants to show and teach other people how to do the same. And so it is real, and it's happening, and you're very right on with that, because he's been wanting to put it on. I believe he does have some videos on YouTube about it, actually, about how to build your own. I'm not sure if it's, if people can connect in with that or not, but yeah, you're right. There's people out there doing it. It's happening.
Yep. Look into the quantum energy generator as well, QEG. There's absolutely fascinating stuff going on all around the world with this device. I know I'm in contact with someone who's leading the charge in this area. It's very exciting. So, I mean, the reason why these things haven't come to light previously is because the energy industry hasn't taken lightly to them. Hasn't really wanted these things to come into play, because they threaten the existence of the energy industry. Once these things actually are in the mainstream, then it's goodbye coal, it's goodbye all fossil fuels, it's goodbye the entire the most powerful energy monopoly on the planet. So they don't want to throw down their weapons and go kindly. And so there are energy suppression. There is a huge energy suppression situation. But now, because it's unstoppable now. Basically, there's too much going on in the world right now with new energy that they can't stop it. So we're on the way forward, and it's really hugely exciting. But I'm deviating off the topic, although that is a field I'm very interested in, and that is something that I could definitely talk about for a long time. But yeah, so getting back to innovation, basically, I want to, rather than teaching children to think in a way that is called convergent thinking. So convergent thinking is basically thinking in a way that only has right or wrong answers. Thinking in a way that it's very linear, and you either know it or you don't. And it's more about having a whole wide range of possible ways of looking at certain problems. So you take, say, for example, that the task might be, a teacher might task their children to invent a new device that helps us solve some kind of environmental issue. Let's say landfill or something, some kind of solution that can solve the problem of these landfills that are building up all around the world and threatening our environment. So, and you get children to brainstorm these things and to actually come up with a myriad of different possibilities for these things. But this needs to be the norm. This needs to be the kind of thing that we encourage on a daily basis. This kind of thinking, this kind of infinite possibility. This is the way that we grow innovators. This is the way that we have children trailblaze the way forward for everyone. What we've got right now are innovators and visionaries who can't do anything because they're so restricted by the economic system. They're so restricted by their day-to-day work lives, and they're stuck in these jobs that they just don't want to be in. I mean, I'm one of them. I'm in hospitality. I don't want to be in hospitality, but I have to be. So, so this is something, like I said, it has to be an economic shift as well as an educational one. But this is what I mean by changing our thinking with innovation. So rather than having right or wrong answers and all these tests and all these all these exams and grades and rubrics, it's just about getting rid of all that, and moving more towards possibility and just looking at all these different ways of looking at problems and solving problems. So we need to get our kids to be problem solvers and to teach them, empower them to be real problem solvers. So, that's what I mean by innovation, that dimension. I mean, there's other things that come into it, and this is all covered in detail in the book, and we can talk about that in a second. So basically the next dimension is communication. Communication is pretty much about language. And this is not just about written and spoken language. This is about all kinds of language. It's about emotional language. It's about body language. It's about social language. It's all these things that we use to communicate that in any way. And so we need to move beyond just the written and the spoken word. And we need to start to teach our children to understand how to be, I suppose, good socially and emotionally, and to be able to manage their own emotions, and to be able to be conscious of their own emotions, to be conscious of the way that they're treating other people and the way that they're relating to other people. So relationships need to be kind of examined as well and explored, and we need to not disregard a study of emotion and a study of social life. And so it's about minimizing conflict internally and externally, trying to get children to be in charge of their emotions and to be better than these kind of emotional issues that tend to arise in a lot of relationships.
Right.
That's a big part of that communication. And I want to retain the native languages of the world as well. I want to, because I think diversity is really important. Cultural diversity is really important as well. Because if we don't have that, then life doesn't have that spark. It doesn't have that that magic.
Sure.
We need cultural
that
diversity.
Flair.
So we can't lose our languages. I know that everything's moving towards English, and I still think it should. I still think that we should teach English universally because if everyone speaks English or one single language, then we can communicate easily. And communicating easily is hugely important, no matter where we come from. But that doesn't mean that we need to lose our languages, our native languages, our native tongues. So we need to still teach them in those areas where those languages are dominant. So, I'm all about that. The other thing with communication is basically not having literacy be compulsory or English being compulsory beyond a certain point. Because I think when people get to a certain level of ability with English or with language or with literacy, is they no longer need those skills to thrive in their lives. A lot of these people would much prefer to learn in other areas, would much prefer to take an in-depth look at engineering or devote their lives to being a brilliant dancer or something, that just they don't need to spend all this time trying to master the English language. I mean, I think that the most important thing is once they can communicate effectively, once they can write effectively, read effectively, that's all they need, unless they really want those skills going forward.
That makes sense.
And this comes back to self-discovery as well, because once children are able to discover what they want and what they're passionate about, they'll know where they want to move in terms of what they want to learn. So, they won't be missing out on certain skills that they'll need in the future. So it all kind of links in together. It's all encompassing, and there's all these overlaps, and that's what I kind of like about it. There's no exclusivity between these 6 dimensions. They all feed off each other, and I kind of love that. It's an integrated approach. Let's go on to the last dimension, and then we can move on. So empathy, massively important. We really haven't even considered this at all in our education system. So this to me is pretty big. It's something that will really turn things on its head once we start really engaging with ways that we can get children to be empathic. And it is difficult to teach empathy in conventional ways. I don't think it can be taught in conventional ways. I think the way to teach empathy is to lead by example. But
also understanding what empathy is within us too, because some people, I mean, I don't know if you're in the same boat, but I know for me, empathy is something that's natural and inherent in me, and I've seen it in other people, and it can be pretty disabling for people if they don't really understand what it is and how they experience it, because, you're taking on other people's stuff a lot of the time, and you don't know how to create your own energetic or emotional boundaries. It can really put you out of the game. So just understanding how people experience that within themselves.
I agree. Yeah, we need to be able to have a dialogue about empathy in schools. Absolutely,
definitely.
I'm totally there with you. But we also need to be putting it in practice. So that comes through the school philosophy, that comes through the school structure, that comes through the whole mindset of the teacher and the whole mindset of the system. So the way that empathy works for what I want to see is that it's about teachers establishing a human connection with every individual child, and they'll have the freedom and the flexibility to do this. They won't be hampered by the curriculum and the structure, and they won't be hampered by what the system is doing at the moment. And so they'll be able to really have a heart-to-heart with each child and to really make that child feel understood more than anything else, is understood. Because there are so many children out there, behavioral issues, and the reasons why they're misbehaving, the reasons why they're having such problems, and the reasons why they're feeling like failures is because they don't feel understood. I really, really do think that. I really do. I really think that there are so many children that are having problems in life because they just fundamentally feel misunderstood. And I think that this is a problem I felt my whole life, and we need to be addressing. I was the same. I felt misunderstood in school. I didn't enjoy my schooling. I felt misunderstood by my many, many different facets of society. But in terms of, we got to be able to have one-on-one personal time with each child and to be able to, get on that child's level. I'm not saying that we need to denounce authority, but we need to step down a few pegs and stop seeing ourselves as these overlords in terms of educators. We need to start, we're respecting the kids more. We need to start actually, people say respect your elders. And every time people say that, I take a step back, and I don't like when people say that because I don't agree with respecting elders exclusively. Yeah, respect your elders, but elders respect children. This is something that children have been. They've had this dumped on them for generations. Is this disrespect and this I'm better than you and I know more than you, so sit down and shut up. Yeah. And this whole mindset, and this is very personal to me, and you can probably hear it in my voice, is this is something that has to really, really be flipped because, children need to be understood, they need to be valued, they need to be respected, they need to be shown, they need to be trusted, and they need to be given roles of responsibility that show them that they're trusted and appreciated and valued, and it's about respect. It's about respect and It's about understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and it's about being open to understanding them too, because I think, there's a lot of adults who just maybe have their own preconceived notions of kids and not really truly getting, like you said, getting to their level and really being open to who they are versus projecting what they think they should be or who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really being open to that.
Yeah. Teachers really, they need to be open, and we need to encourage an emotional connection between teachers and children, and there's all this stuff about keep your hands to yourself, and children can't even hug each other in certain schools. I mean, what is going on here?
Yeah.
We're losing our human connection.
Yep.
And we need to reestablish this. It's vital if we're going to learn to live in harmony on this planet. If we're going to stop all these wars from continuing in the future, and to move on from these destructive paradigms. So, I mean, the other thing in terms of empathy is ingraining in the philosophy that we need to be, kind and compassionate to others. And you're not enforcing it in any way, but just in a philosophical way. So the school foundation should be on, giving to others and doing good by others, and encouraging random acts of kindness that will be reciprocated and that will be You know, I mean, there might not even be reciprocated. I mean, you shouldn't expect a reward. The reward should be the human connection that you create by such an act of kindness. I believe that that's the best reward anyone can receive. But yeah, so the schools should be encouraging children to do good deeds to others without expecting anything, and for those people to sort of pay it forward to you know, if a child does a good deed to another student, and it's about encouraging, you know, each child who's the recipient of a good deed or an act of kindness to pass that on, to pay it forward. I mean, I'm a big fan of this whole pay it forward kind of philosophy. I think it has great power. If you put this pay it forward kind of approach into a school from a very early age, just think of how these children are going to be empowered and grow and just have this drive to give to others as adults. So
Definitely.
I really think that we can change things on a huge scale if we teach these values and these and ingrain this in a philosophy of the school, of these schools from a very, very early age. And again, it's not about enforcing it. It's just about encouraging. It's just about saying, you know, hey, it'd be awesome if you could do this, but you know, we're not going to force it. We're not going to make it compulsory. We're not going to force it, because I'm against anything compulsory. I don't think anything should be forced on children.
I agree. Totally.
So yeah, that's
okay. Well,
I mean, there's so much more to that I could go through, but it's all in the book, and you know, we don't have time to obviously elaborate too much. So yeah, I'll leave that there in terms of those 6 dimensions. But yeah, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground, which is great.
Yeah, that was so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all that. And yeah, the book, I'm sure, will be an amazing explanation of all of that in a deeper way. And you're really good with words and with explaining things. It seems like you have like this vast amount of insight into intuitively what I feel will be beneficial for children and the planet. And I really appreciate the work that you've done putting that together. And I really, really do wish you all the best with that. And I would love to help support you in any way that I can, for sure. And I would like to share with the listeners how they'll be able to connect with you, and also how to support you with your book.
Yeah.
So if you can just share those 2 things. Yeah.
Yeah. So the book, it's called Education Revolution. It's out on like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, so you can find it just by searching Education Revolution or my name, Will Stanton, there easily enough. I'm working on the ebook at the moment, because that's going to be a big thing for me. I want to get the ebook out there so people can just get it instantly. They don't have to have these delivery times and whatnot. So that's something I'm working on. So hopefully the ebook will be out in the next couple of weeks. I'm aiming for as soon as possible. But so you can also find me on my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/the 6 dimension model. That's 6 like SIX, not the number 6. I've also just started a group called Education Revolution on Facebook, so you can find that group as well and join that and be part of that change that's going on. I'm trying to sort of gather as many people as possible to this Education Revolution group on Facebook, so we can sort of all collaborate together and we can all talk about, and all sort of be informed of what's going on in education all around the world, and all the big changes that are happening, and all the progressive schools that are doing amazing things in these areas. So I want to really give people a chance to gather in one place. So it'd be great if you could join any of those groups.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty much it in terms of how you can contact me. What I want to say to people who are listening is, a lot of people, they're asking me, what can I do? How do we deal with this temporarily. Like there's no ready-to-wear system yet. And all these parents, they really want their kids in these progressive schools, and a lot of them, they can't afford to send their kids to these progressive alternative schools, or they can't, pull their children out of public education, or there's all these reasons why they can't do it. And so what I recommend is, if you can instill the right values as a parent, get your children to think critically, help them find their passion, help them find what it is that they want to do with their lives, and kind of accept them for who they are, and really nurture that in them, and help them create their own reality, and support them in any way you can. I mean, that's the best advice. I mean, I'm not a parent, so I don't like to be seen as giving parental advice, so please don't take this the wrong way. I don't have parental experience. But if this does resonate with you, then I think that is the way to go, in terms of helping your children go forward.
Yeah.
Teach them to think critically, teach them to question everything. And because they're not getting that in a conventional education system, so help them do that. And if you're homeschooling, and if you want to homeschool, I highly recommend it, because that to me is the temporary solution.
And also encourage them to seek their own inner authority, seek their own inner guidance, and really learn how to attune to the way that their inner navigation system works, so that they can really learn how to trust themselves. And also encourage them, or allow them to know that you trust them as well, that they know what's best for them.
Totally.
So that's empowering.
I'm there with you. Yeah. I mean, I've experienced this myself. Is this? I felt like I needed to be more guided by my own intuitions and by my own internal. I suppose, you can call it the soul, you can call it whatever you want, but you're absolutely right, Emily. Children need to be trusting themselves, trusting their intuition and their instincts, and going with what feels right and what feels natural and what feels intuitive. So,
exactly.
Great advice.
Great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We're going to wrap it up here, because I don't know how much time we've got left before we get cut off.
Covered a lot.
Yeah, we sure did, and really good stuff. So, I hope that anyone listening can support Will on his mission and vision to change this, help remodel this educational paradigm. And we can do that through supporting his book and also spreading the word. So, you can find him on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Facebook if you want to reach out and connect. So thanks so much, Will, for joining us today and for sharing so awesomely. Yeah, that's been my pleasure. And, hope to hear more from you in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have another chat soon.
Great. All right, everybody. Well, stay true and strong out there. And you can always reach me, Emily Cleland. It's Emily Cleland on Facebook, and emily@ignitespirit.ca if you want to email me. All right. So, it's been a great show, and thank you very much for tuning in. And this is your host, Emily, sending loving vibes your way.